Hello and welcome to another episode of the Future of Business podcast. I'm your host, Sai Tarunivani, the founder and president of Future of Business. Today we have a special interview and our guest is...
Ayden Fowler. I'm a 17-year-old student at North Fond du Lac.
And we are also joined by
Nikhil Othram.
And Fiona Liu.
two members of the organization. So let's just jump right into this interview. So please introduce yourself again and explain what your business is and what your profession right now is.
Okay, so I'm Ayden Fowler. I'm the CEO and a member of Comma LLC. So we create natural alternatives to air freshening products. We're really looking to expand that further from just air freshening products to overall household improvement products.
Okay. So when you first started your business, how did you come up with the comma name and how did you register your business?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the name was actually a 2 a.m. thought. I was thinking of names, and every name I thought of was taken. So I actually went to my sister and asked her for some help what she thought it would be named. And she said comma. And I'm like, oh, that's really strange. Like, why? And then she's like, well, a comma is or traditional comma is a pause in a sentence. And when you breathe something in, you're like, ah. So by taking a moment to breathe, that really gave us that name.
Are English teachers a part of your target market?
No, we actually one of our judges at one of our pitches actually pointed it out. But once they heard that whole story behind it, they were like, "Oh, that makes a lot more sense now." So it's really a conversation starter for us.
So you said that you were 17. How did you get your business registered at this young of an age?
Yeah, I get that question a lot too. So through the state of Wisconsin, you legally have to be 18 years old to own a business. That's because as a minor, you can't sign contracts legally, or you're not legally bound to contracts because you can easily exit those. Um, so by having a registered agent who is 18 years or older, that allowed us to still have someone that's able to sign our contracts, but through our operating agreement, we specify that that person has no voting authority and is able to really do nothing within the business except for sign those contracts that we need them to. So we worked with the Secretary of State Department, and we're able to work out those little details to help us register our LLC.
Okay, that's great. So how did you become interested in the field when you first started this?
Yeah. So when I was 6, well, actually, I'll backtrack. Uh, Before I was 6, my grandparents opened their own small business. They did cosmetics, so soap, lotion, candles, sugar scrubs, etc. Um, and I was able to help them out with their business when I was 3 years old. Um, but they said I can open my own business when I am 6, and that is the one thing I just loved. I looked up to that, and when I turned 6, my kindergarten year, um, the day I turned 6, I filled everything out and opened my own subcategory within their business. So I just made little soaps. Um, but then through the years, I worked with other businesses. So like most kids, I've had a couple lemonade stands. Um, I also got into photography earlier, and then did some other little things like that. But then I got started through, or started. I started comma because of uh, one of my high school classes, Incubator EDU. So they're a national-based program that teaches entrepreneurship, um, and the whole startup idea of a business. So they go from uh, the idea to the customer persona to eventually pitching the idea to a panel of judges for funding. Um, and then, yeah, that's how comma started, really.
Oh,
And
that's
then
great. That's great.
yeah, that's how Kama started really.
Yeah, that's actually really inspirational that you were this proactive at such a young age.
Yeah. Aiden, I actually got a question for you next. So, like, how do you think of like new and innovative ways to boost and just give your business some profits? You know?
Yeah. Um, so the whole Kama experience is really listening to our customers. You are not a business without your customers. You have to support them and you have to serve their needs above your own. Um, we really found this out when my partner Lillian Geckerman, um, when we were coming up with that idea, I'm gonna say we came up with so many ideas. None of them were feasible until we came up with creating natural air fresheners, and that was because she has problems because of the amount of chemicals in traditional air fresheners. She had problems or allergic reactions to those products. So I really wanted to formulate a product that will help her and other people because I know a bunch of people that suffer from those reactions because of the chemicals in the products. So really listening to your customer, what they need, and then being able to build and innovate off of that.
Yeah, so how do you manufacture these products?
So we have a well, I use a little manufacturing facility that my grandparents own, and really the whole formulation idea came through a bunch. I mean, a bunch of market and product research, and then talking with chemists.
All right. You said you were a student at the North Fond du Lac area. How do you balance the student life as well as like being a CEO of your own company?
Okay. So along with my business, I'm involved in student council, NHS, Key Club, and I hold state positions in all of those, along with my business. It's it's a lot. I will say that it is a lot. But the way I view it is, I always have time for anything I want to do. It's just depending on where I put my priorities. So I will admit that my business was not necessarily a strong priority to begin with. Um, but as I saw the growth potential, that really boosted up there from like sports or other extracurricular activities.
Right, right. And bouncing off of that, like earlier in the interview, you stated that you had a mentor, right? Can you please give some information about that? Like, how did your mentor um, help you, and how did your mentor like inspire you and educate you in your field?
Yeah, so I'd say I have probably three or four mentors. One specifically, Rick Kolstad. He's the owner of Wisnet. He was actually assigned, or he chose my group within the Incubator EDU program. So within that program, you get, or mentors choose to work with you and your group. Um, he's really helped us through the e-commerce side of our business because that's what he's all about. That's his business. But as for the people skills, my business educator Kurt Wismer, he's a national incubator EDU ranked teacher and a master teacher through them. So he has a bunch of experience with business education. Um, but he has definitely been our number one supporter, and really helped us through everything we needed to do to form our business.
Are you still in touch with them?
Yeah. Um, our Rick Kolstad, uh, though he's not a large part of our business, we still bounce ideas off of him to get his input. And then Kurt Wismer, we're always in touch with him to, uh, if it's not business related, even just talking about life and school. Just keeping in touch with those people are super important because they put the resources into you, so you should always give something back.
Yeah, and like when you were talking about like balancing your school life and this business and your other priorities as well, like what was the advice that they gave you, and did you like use any of that advice to help you with that and balance everything out and make sure that you had your priorities set straight?
I'm gonna be straightforward. I did not listen to their advice. um, I know I personally I take on a lot as a student, as a scholar, as a business owner, um, and they don't necessarily understand why I do that, but it's more of a personal reason why I take on a lot. Um, and they advise like just make sure that you're focused and you don't take on too much because then you're going to get uh, dissolved and you're not going to know what to focus on really. But being involved in all this, uh, being involved in everything, really showed me that um, I'm more than myself, and I'm able to help a wide variety of people um, while still having fun.
Right, right.
Yeah. So like going off of that, right? Like what kind of lifestyle does your career allow, you know? So how many hours do you work per day slash week on average?
Um, on my business,
Yeah.
um, I'm gonna say if there were only 24 hours in a day, I probably work 36 of those hours on my business. There's never a moment that I'm not working with clients, manufacturers, suppliers, and then our wholesalers as well.
And so, like, how many hours do you work per week?
Um, Probably all of them. I'm being completely honest. Um,
So you're like, even though like you may not be working, you're like constantly thinking about it, and
yeah, yeah. I wish I could put a direct number on that, but I'm always working on my business.
yeah.
All right. Going back to the question Tarun asked about the advice, what is the best piece of advice you would give to someone who wants to start a business?
Um, I would say that you need to develop a customer and strictly listen to that customer. Like I said earlier, you're nothing without your customer. Even if you're a, a service, you still need to listen to your customers because they're the ones that will uh, tell other people the good and the bad that happens within your company. So you just want to make sure that you build that strong connection with them.
Yeah, putting an emphasis on the customer is like a really huge part of the building your business and your brand, and I agree with that. But a question that I have is like, how did you find your target market, your target customer, and like how are you marketing to them to buy your product?
So we started through a B2C model, so business to consumer. So we developed our target market. We know that typical people that purchase air fresheners are homeowners or people that you know are old enough to live on their own. So like adults, I guess I should have just said. Um, so branching off of that to get more in depth, females are typically the shoppers of the household. Um, and they're also the ones that typically choose the home scents, so candles, lotion, etc. Um, we were also able to build off of the Bath and Body Works customer um, and narrow that down to the more natural shopper. So those that shop at Festival Foods, Kroger, Whole Foods, even. And then we were able to reach those people uh, through Facebook primarily. Email marketing works sometimes too. Um, but because we were able to build a B2B or business to business model, um, our wholesalers really reach out to those customers instead of us and build our brand.
So your products are at those retail stores right now, or?
So we started with no wholesalers, but right now we're in 4, 5. Um, we're at we're at 2 salons because those really meet our customer. We're at a little boutique in Fond du Lac, Gathered Roots. They were actually our first wholesaler, our wholesale account. And then locally in nope, there's a little shop in where is it? I'm not sure right now. But we're also getting into festival foods within the next month or so. We were already approved by them. We just need to work with their buying manager.
Yeah, and how did you reach out to these wholesalers to like convince them to put your product in their stores?
You want to personally, the people that I connected with, I already had the personal connection with them. But you really want to build that connection with those people if you don't have that resource. Um, Sending emails uh, is a big plus. Having that technology, they're always reading their email. They might not respond to your email, but they always have that in the back of their head. Along with reaching out, you want to make sure that you follow up with them if they don't respond to an email, because they might have just forgot about like the entire pitch that you gave to them. So it's really important to not bug them, but keep them in the back of their head.
I know you're not a corporation, but do you have a social responsibility, or are you gonna have one in the future?
Yeah. Um, so within the next 5 years, our plan is to uh, file as a B Corp or a B corporation. So they're the business that really focuses on the environment. Everything that they do is for the environment. We also plan to join 1% for the planet. So 1% of our sales goes to this organization that distributes them to planetary needs. Um, and we are Leaping Bunny certified, so um, we don't test on animals. None of our suppliers test on animals. All of our supplies and products are made safe. Um, but we're also focusing on sustainability. Sustainability in the modern world is super important. Um, we focus on this by using our glass bottles that we have. They're reusable, and then our recyclable packaging.
All right, thank you for the question. I do have another one. Since you said you do use glass bottles, are customers able to return them back to you and get a refill? And would that be cheaper, or would they just keep continue buying the glass bottles?
So at this moment, we don't offer that option. Shipping is super expensive, so by offering a return label to that, we aren't going to be able to make that profit that we're looking for. But they are able to use them uh, within their own lives, um, and they are also recyclable. So that's important to us. But that's definitely something we've looked into and are hoping to uh, have in the future if we decide to open up a retail store.
Yeah, so Aiden, you're 17, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, although you are very young, so like what struggles did you go through to establish your business to, I guess, get to where you are today?
Yeah. So getting people to take me seriously is definitely a struggle. When I say I am 17 years old, they are like, well, you can't own a business. How are you doing this? What's your profit look like? And they don't take me seriously. Um, but the fact is, I know my worth. I know what I know, and I know that I know more about business than most adults do. So I use that to my advantage.
Yeah, and you said that you started your business 2 years ago, and that was during the pandemic. Like, how did the pandemic affect your business and create challenges for you? And how did you overcome them?
Yeah, so a large snowball effect of the pandemic was the supply chain issue. Um, it was not easy finding bottles, especially because they are amber glass. So we had to work with multiple suppliers to fulfill the needs of our customers. Um, but because of the pandemic, people were in their homes a lot more than they typically are. So we saw a spike in purchases.
Yeah, right. So in this case, the pandemic kind of helped your business.
Um, It did also create those supply chain issues, but we worked through it.
Right, right.
Okay. Like you mentioned, like everyone was kind of stuck in their houses. So like, what kept you motivated during this time where everyone was quarantined at home?
Um, I mean, I knew that, though it might sound bad, it was an easy opportunity to capitalize on that situation. Um, so really reaching those our target audience through social media, telling our story, prompts them to purchase our products. Um, so we're able to make more sales on that opportunity.
Yeah, that's actually a great piece of advice. Like when an opportunity comes to you, you should jump on it and not waste it.
100%.
Yeah. And I have another question for you. How many employees do you have in your company?
So to keep costs down, we have two owners or two members. The term member is used in an LLC, um, and then we have one to two other. I'm not going to say employees because they're not really employees, but they help us when we need. Um, but then, obviously, us being 17 seniors, um, we are going to college soon. So hiring those employees is going to be super important moving forward.
Right. And yeah, you talk about moving forward. Um, like going off of that, moving forward, where do you see yourself? Like, what is your vision for like the next like 5 years or like 10 years? I know you like sorry, I know that you stated like some of your goals before, but are there any more goals that you have?
Yes. So uh, before we're out of high school, for sure, we want to be in festival foods around the northern areas, um, and also within Kroger. Um, However, we're also trying to reach those smaller regional locations. So we don't want to necessarily be in Walmart. Um, they're actually not the best to be in business with. So reaching those smaller audiences or those smaller regional locations is still super beneficial because they bring in that audience. Um, but within the next 5 years, we want to be obviously a well-known brand. We want to have a lot more products than we do. We only have uh, room and linen sprays, car diffusers, essential oil blends. Um, that's it. But we want to create a full scent line, so that includes candles, incense sticks, reed diffusers, etc. But we also want to open up that cleaning aspect to our business, so the household cleaners, um, and then open up, obviously, gain more employees to help with that within the future.
And you stated that you're going into senior year of high school. How important would you say that your education is to helping grow your business and just in general?
If you want to go to college, education, well, if you want to do anything really, education is super important. Um, I know some people feel that senior year is the year to slack off, take the easy classes, um, not do your 100%, but that's the year that colleges really look at. Um, People say junior year is the most important year. I beg to differ. If you don't do well with your senior year, then you risk your college opportunities. Um, so really staying at your education is super important. I'm a I I'm going to be a lifelong learner. I've only been here for 17 years, but being involved and always learning something allows you to put that forward and put it to use. Um, Especially in business, because business is an ever-growing field. It's super important to stay knowledgeable in that.
Right, and you mentioned lifelong learner. What other traits do you think that you possess that help you?
Um, I would say I am for sure a leader. Being able, well, any business owner, I'm going to say, is a leader. Um, you need to you need to take in the input of your customers, like I mentioned before, put it to use, and then give your customers something in return. Um, so being able to do that, also being able to speak to people, um, being able to connect with those individuals is super important as well. Um, other traits I possess, I would say, yeah, I'm not sure. It's super difficult to create traits for yourself. Um,
Okay, well, maybe if not traits for yourself, let's think of like a successful entrepreneur in general. What traits do you think that they have?
like I said, you have to be a team worker. You have to be a team worker. You can't do everything by yourself. That's one thing I struggle with. I like doing things by myself because I know I can depend on myself and it will be up to my quality. But you have to trust your team, that they are going to produce something equally, if not better, than what you were able to produce. And really lean on each other, because you as a business owner cannot do everything in your company. Um, if you're going to hire employees, you're going to use your employees. You're going to give them work. You don't need to do that yourself because you're paying someone to do it.
You said you're going to pursue higher education at a college. How do you think going to college and then running your own business will like differ from being high school and being closer to your manufacturers and everything?
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure that out. Obviously, college life is totally different than high school. Um, I I just what I've been telling myself is that yes, I'm gonna stay connected in my business. However, I'm really gonna lean on those employees to do the everyday jobs that, um, I won't be able to do. So that's manufacturing product because we don't have manufacturers. Um, we're not at that point where we need a manufacturer for our products. Um, so that takes a lot of time that I could have someone else do. Um, really giving them the smaller tasks. Obviously, I would still be in contact with our wholesalers, our customers, but allowing them to do more that I wouldn't be able to do.
That's good. And this is like a personal question, but what are you majoring in?
I I'm going into business. I still have to do a little more research on what I want to do. Um, I was planning to go into marketing. Actually, I was planning to go into management, um, human resources and management, but that I feel that major is a little too broad. Same with marketing. I'm not sure yet.
Since your business is kind of a limited kind of like field of business, how do you expand? Or how are you going to expand in the future?
Yeah. Um, so the way I see it is, if you expand too far, you're not able to put that focus on your business. You're putting that focus on all of your products and not really what your customer wants, but you're really focusing on uh, the profit that you're not making because you're not focusing on everything. But we plan to expand through the cleaning industry, and then creating more products within the scent field.
Okay. All right, Aiden, talk to me about the ins and outs of your business. Like how does your supply chain work?
Yeah. So because we manufacture all of our products, we also do our own inventory. Um, so keeping up to date with that inventory and uh, getting those supplies ordered is super important. We order in bulk, so we don't need to order as much, but we use wholesalers for our all of our ordering chains.
And how do you ship?
Yeah. So we offer free shipping for anyone within the Fond du Lac area, um, and then the shipping is calculated through our e-commerce site.
All right. You talked about your business a bunch, but you didn't talk about like where do you ship? Like, do you have your own warehouse, or do you are doing this from your own home?
Yeah. So we manufacture the products within a small um, facility. It's kind of like a little garage, I guess you could say. Um, yep. Yeah. Um, and then our inventory is kept. Me and my partner, we split our inventory up um, within our homes.
And how do you guys split up the workload as well?
Yeah, so I focus really on the product development, manufacturing. and Lily focuses more on the customer outreach, the advertisements, everything of that nature.
Do you guys like run ads or like, you mentioned Facebook earlier, right?
Yep. So we're constantly posting on Facebook, Instagram. We have a TikTok. We're not so active on the TikTok because it doesn't really meet our audience per se. But really reaching those customers, attending events, so craft shows. We've even attended soccer games because those smelly soccer players need to get some comma.
I take offense to that. I take lots of offense to that.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, Nikhil here is a fellow star soccer player.
I am.
He's-
Yeah.
Well, you can visit our website to get your own spray.
No more acts.
Yeah. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you.
So I think that's it, Ayden. We asked all the questions that we wanted to ask, and we got to everything that we wanted to go to. Thank you so much for spending some time with us to do this interview and podcast with us. It was a pleasure having you on.
Yeah, thank you.
And Ayden's company website will actually be down in the description below, so be sure to check that out. And yeah, that's it. Thank you so much again, Ayden.